wonder. Yeah? It's in wonder at this, at Lord Shiva. And he says here, described in here, how he, as we've heard, let me just read the verse before. Chitraketu said, Lord Shiva, the spiritual master of the general populace, is the best of all living entities who have accepted material bodies. He enunciates the system of religion, yet how wonderful it is that he is embracing his wife Parvati in the midst of an assembly of saintly persons. So, as Prabhupada brings out, he's quoting of Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. This is also, he seems, there's also this kind of a mixture of things here. Chitraketu, Maharaj Chitraketu, he's become a little bit proud, but at the same time, it's brought out in the purport that we read, that actually he's thinking that if the Lord Shiva does this, then others will follow his example. Yeah. So that's there as well. So therefore, he kind of speaking out a bit. Yeah. Then it comes up in the purport as well that Lord Shiva. Also, there's I forget the Sanskrit, but the exalted status of great controllers is not compromised by any audacious transgression of morality that we may see in them. It is not diminished in any way because they're so powerful. And the examples given, just like Lord Shiva, then he drank an ocean of poison, but he purified it, so they're beyond reproach. But now, this is great exalted controllers of the universal affairs. Yeah. If one of us ordinary jivas in this material world, we are not beyond reproach. No matter who we are, we are not beyond reproach. And we should never think we are. Never think we are beyond reproach. That's my favorite thought, and not beyond reproach. That's the point. Is like Lord Brahma as well. He became attracted to his daughter, Vak, wasn't it? Is that the head of a Sampradaya? Head of a Sampradaya, topmost GBC, topmost. You got attracted to his daughter. Okay, let's get a case against it. Let's get a case against it. Anyway, I won't go too far down that line. and then of course this was brought up to Prabhupada when I read this. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, yes, he maybe. It's not a big deal. But of course, it's a different series, and it's not the same as what's going on in this degraded, you could say, strong word, sick material world, and the names of abuse and things like that. It's not the same. What Lord Brahma's doing is for the educational purposes of everyone in creation, and he shed his body. It's a very deep. So therefore, it shouldn't be criticized. It shouldn't be. Okay, this is also a lesson that comes up here, is that, Dayananda Maharaj is making this point, and it comes up later in the purports about the danger of aparad, of offending, of making an offense. Yeah. It's described as hati mata, the elephant. Elephant, when it comes into a garden, disaster. Because we don't get that much here, not many elephants. Elephants in India, my reports. So when they lose it, you really got to get out of the way because they trample on anything. One time I was in Mayapur, was following me. I think on Saturday or Sunday, Saturday evening, we have the elephant procession. One time the elephant lost it. It's like this. I've never seen Bengalis move so fast. was moving, you got agitated, you know. Everyone. You know. So interesting here that you could say, with all due respect, Chitraketu is a bit like an elephant. Yeah, because the idea, because he's traveling for thousands and thousands of years with all these Vijayadas chanting the glories of the Lord. So, you know, and he's not become agitated by being surrounded by all these thousands of women. So he's flying anywhere he wants, you know, all over the universe, going here, going there. So he's thinking, it seems the words to the effect not quiet. But it has to be. Then he sees Lord Shiva. Oh. You've got to be careful. Yeah. So that's what we learn to do in devotional service when we come into the association of devotees. We have to learn to be careful. Yeah. And normally we learn by, unfortunately, we tend to learn by experience. That's that general. You know, I remember when I first started coming, that was one of the first experiences when I first started to come to the temple and started to associate with devotees, I was quite amazed at the way devotees would treat each other. You know, especially when devotees would see each other at Vanchakal, they would bow down. I never seen such a thing. Because I joined quite suddenly. You know, I went to the temple, Keshavarti Maharaj, so he tell me he could move it next week. So it took quite a chance. I've never had so much association. When I first went to the temple, I was devotees, and then greet, they would praise each other. You know, oh, you're so this, and then the other devotee would say back, we're quite used to it, you know, oh, you're all this, and now I'm forward and this. Now, I've never seen such a thing before. You know, I was, just before that, I was working on a building site. And you don't have the same, it's not that type of exchanges you have on, you know. It was basically, because, I won't go into detail, you get the picture. Which is how much you could throw abuse at someone, then you was glorified. And how skillful you were in ridiculing someone, that kind of gave you some status within the group. You know, so when I first started associating with devotees, wow, these guys from another planet, you know. But at the same time, it's very uplifting. I felt very nice. So nice and so peaceful. So, wow, let's live with these people. It's amazing. Yeah. So, and it's mentioned a few times, especially it's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I think teachings to Rupa Goswami in regards to the Bhakti Vada Bija, the seed of devotion, which is watered by hearing and chanting, then the different dangers that may come. Yeah. So here we see, so backtracking, so in one sense, Chitraketu's onward to Vaikuntha, onward to Vaikuntha, in this form of Chitraketu, in this airplane with Vajaras, but he makes this mistake. Then he has to take birth as a demon. Okay, you're not coming, but it's described, I think Krishna Prabhu describes it as Krishna's plan to make him to feel more separation from Vaikuntha, or more separation from the Lord, Rupa Bhav. And we see in the prayers of Vritrasura, he's so much desiring, isn't it? So much desiring to go to the, so much desiring to actually go and be with the Lord, as comes out in his prayers. Yeah. So here he is, Maharaj Ketu, on his way back to Godhead, clear, he's already had darshan of the Lord. So that's, in one sense, that's it, you're completely purified. Yeah? By the made this mistake. Well, he did make a mistake. As far as, at least from Parvati's point of view. Yeah, he made a mistake. And Parvati Lord Shiva wasn't offended, it was Parvati who was offended, but you don't want to mess with Lord Shiva, you don't want to mess with Lord Shiva's wife. So then, as you know, she cursed him. But what's also, which you will read, is the wonderful pastime of Chitraketu's wonderful pastime, which illustrates how we should react to, say, criticism, say, blasphemy, if you want to call it out, or whatever, or wrong, I think we brought up this last time, or wrong accusations. Yeah. And it's not easy. It's not easy. You know, when someone comes to you and says something or does something and it seems unfair, it's like, just to, I mean, it's quite intense as well. It's not as if Chitraketu Maharaj is just because of that offence to Lord Shiva, then he's going to lose the taste for hearing and chanting for a week or so, 2 weeks. No, he has to take birth as a demon. Yeah, pretty intense. And demon means a demon, so demon means he's not a vegetarian. Demon means you have demonic tastes. So he was trampling, he was trampling the army of Indra, wasn't he? Trampling them. Like Radha, he was trampling them, eating them, ferocious demon. But at the same time, the devotees with his old pastime. But he just, I was reading it, how he was just, he's completely free of the dualities of the material world. I mean, he's been through it. Krishna's put him through it. It's Krishna's arrangement to put him through all this grief, harsh shoka, to give birth to one son who was poisoned. It's Krishna's arrangement, to bring him back, So he's already signed off from this material world, from what called the happiness, so-called happiness and distress. It's all just the same. It means nothing from a transcendental perspective. It's just part of the deal in the material world. It's going to come. I think Prabhupada also describes just like anything that falls in a, he's quoting from Vishnu, I forget. Anything that falls into a salt mine becomes salty. So this material world, we're here, we're going to face the dualities of this world. And so one thing we can perhaps take heart and learn from this is that, it takes some reflection to actually, understand that what we're going through on an individual or collective basis, Krishna is only acting out of kindness. It's a very kind of sharp, it's a very fine line. Because it doesn't mean that we don't address wrongdoing, it doesn't mean we don't. There is scope for that, but ultimately we should understand actually Krishna has put me through hell, putting me through this difficult situation, just to make us more kind of desperate, to make us clutch one of our japa beads with some sincerity, to actually stop chanting inattentively. He's arranged many different situations. So it's not a smooth ride. Going back to Godhead, it's not a smooth ride. Don't expect a smooth ride. If we make plan, we are as devotees. This means we're planning to go back to Godhead because we've got T-like necklace. So it ain't going to be a smooth ride. But that's Krishna's grace. That's Krishna's kindness. From that rough ride will come, just like describe that to make a diamond, coal. To make a diamond out of coal takes a lot of grinding and pushing and millions of years. It takes a lot of work. It comes out diamond, in the end. So don't be frightened the antidotes away. But you actually see that, from my experience, I've been around so long compared to I could say 30 years, but from my experience, once you go past don't scare anymore, once you get past the 20, 25 years, then the tests start. The refinement starts coming in like wonderful ways. It's not wonderful ways, but very purifying ways. But at the same time, while we're going through it, there's always the bliss of kirtan. There's always the bliss of the association of devotees. That's what's going to get us through the tests which we have to face by Krishna's grace. If we're associating with devotees, we're engaged in Sankirtan, we're engaged in the Kirtan of the Lord. That's the danger, is when someone's going through it and they separate themselves from devotees, Oh, that's too much, man. I'm going to step out the scene, man. No, we should stay in association with devotees. Sometimes I've been like that, sometimes I've been, something is happening, big monsters in the mind or something like that. I said, just go to the kirtan, pick up some wampus, and get in the middle of the kirtan, in the heart of it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. If you don't feel like dancing, dance, man. Dance, take shelter of the process, But also there's other, so it's not a smooth ride. Another person who didn't go through a very smooth ride, going back to God, is Maharaj Bharat. Similar, Interesting, normally Maharaj Bharat is brought up as an example given of perfection that took a few lives. But here's another story, Maharaj Chitraketu. But here's Maharaj Bharat. He was someone, even though he had already done it all. He had already had a kingdom, he left the kingdom, and he was at the stage of power, feeling ecstasy at the manifestation of the potency of the Lord Narayan. Every time the sun would rise, he would be in ecstasy, tears would come from his eyes, from the Lord. All his emotions were spiritualized, but we know the story. You've got to go through something yet. You've got to go through a little bit more yet. And that's a whole extraordinary story. So so this is good. Many lessons from this pastime here. Many lessons. Give us heart. The Lord actually loves us very much. The Lord is very kind to us, and that's why He's arranging all difficult situations. And that, again, the example of Maharaj Chitraketu is completely whatever. Mother Parvati, thank you so much for his curse, for cursing me to be a demon. He's had it. Kama Kinchana Gochara. He's signed off from this world. Whatever is going to throw at me, I'm Krishna's son. And that's his will. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments in this one? Yeah, please.
Thank you for that. Just a comment.
Or comments, yeah, please, yes.
So I'm reading this as well. I'm to this in my reading a few texts on. You mentioned how Parvati, it says later that she felt ashamed that she'd done this, and that she was kind of saying, look, I was joking with him because he was with rigid girls, and he was joking with me and everything with my wives. So she didn't get it, you see. So and Maharaj Chitraketu didn't say anything; he just accepted it, and it reminded me of this book by Hanadas Swami called Greetings from Vrindavan. And which is at this point, so I'm just going to read that out.
Yeah, please.
You feel the bitterness and the anger not transcended, and you remove yourself in your mind from the circumstances and people responsible. Then, meditating on those feelings, but divorced from the situation from which they arose, transfer them to your own karma and accept them in the mood that this is a total reaction of one's own mistakes to attain your compound. In other words, if needed, keep these emotions, but see yourself as the cause.
Prabhupada, that reminds me, thank you for sharing that. Prabhupada, I was reading just recently words in the Bhagavad Gita that devotee is introspective. This is a devotee that introspective about events and situations. So think deeply about it, especially the siddhanta that we understand. And we may not be able to do that. Sometimes it takes some digesting. Good for us. We make Chitriketu's exalted soul. So things like, so we have to invoke devotional states of mind. Because that first reaction is going to be of a conditional one, generally. It's to react, So it's very, but if we're reading and we're hearing and chanting, we're going to invoke the right consciousness for it, But if we're not reading, we're not hearing, we're not chanting, not paying attention to our rounds and like that, we're not going to have nothing to invoke, So there's thank you for showing it. So I'll give more personal details about examples, but yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, Prabhu, we see Krishna is so involved in the life of Maharaj Chitraketu.
Yeah.
He's arranging all these situations. But we also see that the living entity, if they're not a devotee, then Krishna sort of leaves them in the hands of the material energy.
Yeah.
Whereas if they're a devotee, then he gets involved. But we don't really see much previous to this pastime. Maharaj Chitraketu doesn't seem to be anything particularly devotional about it. One sense, why is Krishna getting so involved and dragging him back?
For that you have to search through Puranas, and if you find out, you're probably sure if you search deep enough, probably. You can only go back so far, the history of much, but I don't recall anything specifically, but I'm sure there's something there if you search in the story, but
Well, the fact that he had 10 million wives makes it something very special. He certainly had a lot of good karma or security to get a type of facility in the first place.
10 million wives. Unimpeded strength of the senses. Oh no, that was really after you've been blessed by Shankarshan. So there's a facet, if you find out, you can let us know the pre-history of Chitraketu before Bhagavatam. You can let us know, I'm sure it's very exciting.
Yes.
Okay.
Might not know the details, but we know what Krishna says about the Gita, Sushinam Sridham. For the unsuccessful yogi, they get born into a situation of a Suchibran family or Srimatam Orthodox. It seems in this case he's getting everything given to him, so he must have done something really significant in the previous life.
So again, perhaps the answer to we could say something auspicious. His previous life was something auspicious. But still, we have to go through the real bit. Anything else? Thank you for allowing me to be here for last week. It was a wonderful experience. It was very heartwarming, very friendly. Thank you for inviting me here. I always like to come here. I'm sure I'll be coming again and again a few more times. I feel like home here. It's very nice. Thank you for your wonderful association, wonderful example of dedication and devotion service. So I've been leaving today back to the smoke. Back to my room. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Manohar,